Okay, I've got the lumber back in my place. I'm going to document this whole thing. So that what I need to do is take the lumber that I've got. I'm going to cut them as I've already done that. Cut them into the right size lengths. This is going to be for a medium or Dayton or Illinois Super, whatever you call it. So cut it the right size. Now what I need to do is put the boxtail joint cuts on the edges, right? Just so up over there, the finger joints, boxtail joints. So to do that, you use a dado blade. It's called stack dado blade. So what happens is you take this, that's a normal saw blade, and then you stack these pieces in the middle, and then stack another blade on the end. So what'll happen is you'll get something like this. That goes there, and you can. That goes there. Let me finish this. There, and then finally that goes on the end. So you get a real thick blade. So you can stack these because they're different. I've got different inserts, so you can make it half an inch, 5/8, whatever you want, just by adding more or less blades in. So anyways, so what I'm going to do, I'm going to take the tongue out of the top of my table saw, take the current 10-inch blade out, and what I did is I built a tongue. So this tongue that I just showed, that's built for a single table saw blade. So I'll take that off and I'll put this one in. Actually, I don't need that, but I'm going to show you anyways. I just cut that out of board, cut it to fit in there, and then when I put the dado blade in, then I raise the blade and it cuts that nice groove in there. So that's important because I'm going to show you later on how I built or cut a groove into the jig or sled that I built for to make the boxtail joints. Okay. So there's the blade installed. I'll just get a little shot there. You can kind of see it's you can see how thick it is. Okay. So yeah, it'll spin and cut a really nice exactly 3/4 inch groove into the edge of that wood. Okay, this is my my own innovation of a boxtail jig, boxtail joint jig. But usually when you cut these boxtail joints, you do one at a time. So I figured I got to do a lot of these, so why not build some sort of an assembly that will let me do multiple pieces of wood all at once. So what I did, I built a sled, and this sled with those two runners on the bottom, those runners go into the holes at the bottom of my table saw, like so, and as the sled does, it slides. Okay, so the benefit there is you can use the locked-in slides on the table saw to get a perfectly straight cut all the time. So what I'm going to do is take my boards and I'm going to lay them in the sled. I'm going to clamp them down. I'll make them neat, of course. I'll clamp them in, and then I'll run it through the dado blade, and it'll put one perfectly straight cut in. I've reversed my position here, so I'm on the I could call it the back of the slot. So the way this will work, you see how I've got the board laying inside this it's a jig turned into a sled. So when I start the dado blade here, it'll cut that way, and then when I push the sled through, the blade will hit there, right there, and it'll cut exactly a 3/4 inch groove, height and width, because I've measured the height of the blade too. And you can see I've taken that long piece of wood. It's called a key. Normally in the jigs, the key is only about an inch or two deep because you're only putting one piece of wood in the corner like that and then cutting. So I thought, I need to do a lot of these boards, so why not make a key that's big enough to hold, excuse me, 10 pieces of wood, and then lay them all in. If I lay them all in like this is just 4, and then I'll use this clamp to clamp them in tight. Oops. A little bit of sawdust on my nice sweater. So then what I'll do is clamp, sorry, one-handed here. What I'll do is clamp this in like that. Get it nice and tight. Okay? And then I can just push this sled right through, and I'll have, in this case, 4 boards. But I made this big enough to cut 10 pieces of wood. Okay, so do that. And the reason this key is in there, by the way, I'll explain that. The key, the distance from the key to the edge of the wood, the blade, is exactly 3/4 of an inch. And then what I'll do is cut the first groove in here, and then I'll lift the board up, and this notch or groove will fit over the key, so you get exactly the same cut over and over. So I'll cut, put on the key, cut again, put the new cut on the key, cut again, put the new cut on the key, etc. till I'm done. Okay, so this will make it a lot easier. I was going to have to do something like 400 cuts because I have a lot of boards to cut notches into, grooves into. So this is going to save me 10 times as much time as I would have normally spent. Okay. Okay, I've got it all set up. I just measured the blade, made sure that the height is exactly 3/4 of an inch. I've only got 2 boards on there because when you do boxtail joints, the tongue and the groove, they need to meet each other, so they need to be offset. And that's why there's a space in there. So when we cut this is going to cut a groove and leave what's called a tongue on the edge. So I'm going to cut the groove here and leave the tongue, and then on the opposing boards, on the corner, I'll cut the groove on here, leave a tongue there, and then the two will fit together like they call it a finger joint.
Maybe flip it up.
So that's perfect. So it's exactly what I wanted. There's a nice little 3 by 3/4 inch by 3/4 inch hole in there. Right. Now I've got the first hole, so I'll remove the clamps. Can you take off that clamp? And then you just pick this up and put it on the key, and then I'll get it on there somehow. Anyway, so I'll get that set up, and then I'll clamp it in and do another one, and so on and so forth. One little modification on the fly. So what I did was I put I'll call that a sacrificial piece of wood in the back. So when I pull the blade through, I'll get perfect cut through the first 2 boards, and then it'll dig into the backboard a little bit. I could have cut it right through the call it the backdrop, whatever, but the brace, but I didn't. Okay, gonna do the second cut. Alright, remove the clamps. Oops, move it over. So that's exactly what I wanted. I'm going to put in 4 cuts. So I'm not going to bother taping this. It'll be a little boring, but you see what I'm getting at. I need to put 4 tongue and grooves, 4 grooves on this one, and then do a bit of work on the end. Okay, so when I'm done, I'll show it again. So there they are. They're all done. So as you would imagine, when I get the other side cut, it'll be the correct tongue to groove, but these are the same cuts now, so basically these just fit in. Nice little joint, and I'll staple that together, and this will become a nice beehive.